Good, happy Wednesday morning, May 6th, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday morning, so let's begin. First up, New Hampshire health officials announce 6 additional COVID-19 related deaths, 50 new positive cases, 1,105 total recovered. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
Right now, 6 new deaths connected to COVID-19 to report tonight. 5 of them over the age of 60. Good evening. I'm Mike Cherry.
And I'm Monica Hernandez. Those deaths underscoring a grim reality. Most COVID-19 deaths in New Hampshire have been seniors living at long-term care facilities. The total number of deaths in New Hampshire now stands at 92. 66 are connected to long-term care facilities. There were 90 new confirmed cases total in New Hampshire today, which means that 2,636 people have had COVID-19 in the Granite State since this pandemic began. More than 1,100 have recovered.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your COVID-19 in New Hampshire important information. And here is that important information for all of you. There are 2,588 number of people who have in New Hampshire have been tested positive for COVID-19. 1,177,784 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 86 number of people who died from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 286 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 68,442 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where cases of COVID-19 are in towns and cities of New Hampshire. Derry, 231 cases of COVID-19. And then this chart here, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. This chart here, current cases. Total current COVID-19 cases and current hospitalizations. This chart here, cumulative totals. Positive COVID-19 cases in the purple. Total hospitalizations in the orange. In the red, deaths. And in the blue, recovered. This chart here shows you by age group. This chart here shows you by female and male. And this chart here shows you risk information. This chart here shows you race/ethnicity of cases. This chart here shows you percent of New Hampshire population. And again, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. That is the important information for New Hampshire. 87 residents, 27 workers at Derry Nursing Home test positive for COVID-19. 13 residents die of coronavirus, officials say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Why choose Century Roofing? You've met my team, the best in the business. Is a lifetime warranty good enough for you? And payment options, financing is available, and we accept all credit cards.
Century Roofing, we got you covered.
For weeks, DHHS officials had been warning that the elderly and people with pre-existing conditions are more at risk of death due to COVID-19. But now, new numbers show just how high that risk may be. DHHS says as of Monday, 66 of the 86 Granite Staters who have died from COVID-19 lived inside long-term care facilities, while outbreaks inside those institutions account for just over a quarter of the total COVID-19 cases in the state. More than 3/4 of deaths so far are connected to the facilities. Of the 66 long-term care deaths, 18 have been linked to Hanover Hill and Manchester, and 9 to Dover's Bellamy Fields. Facilities in Nashua, Salem, and Derry have all had 7 virus-related deaths, DHHS says. At Pleasant Valley, another dairy facility, the state told News 9 5 residents have died so far. But the facility told us their coronavirus death toll is actually 13, more than double the state's number. In a statement, the company that owns Pleasant Valley said, quote, "Our absolute top priority is the safety and care of our residents, and we are taking immense measures to safeguard those who are not infected and isolate and treat those who are." One woman we spoke to didn't want us to use her last name or show her face, but says her 83-year-old grandmother tested positive for COVID-19 at the nursing center last Wednesday.
It's only a matter of, will she be one that survives or one that doesn't? And statistically, it doesn't look good for her.
Now, we did reach out to DHHS Commissioner Lori Shibinette for comment tonight. So far, we did not hear back. Reporting live, Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Statewide face covering order in effect for Massachusetts residents. Let's take a listen to that video from WCVB Boston.
Good morning, Doug. A lot of cities and towns have had their own rules in effect for some time, but as you said, now the entire state is under that mask rule mandated by Governor Baker. So this is what it means, and here's the bottom line for this morning. Face coverings are required inside essential businesses like groceries, pharmacies, as well as public transportation, and it is for anyone over the age of 2. Now, when outside, you're also required to wear a mask if you can't practice social distancing. There are some exceptions for people who have medical conditions that prevent them from wearing masks. Now, the DPH is putting rules in effect as the weather gets warmer. The reason is the high number of people who get the virus can pass it on without ever showing any symptoms.
It's all about viral load. If you're wearing a mask, there's going to be less virus that penetrates you, even if some of it can.
Now, the masks are to protect you as well as family or friends or anybody you encounter along the day, starting today. And people that choose not to wear masks could face fines up to $300.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. So, statewide order in Massachusetts go in effect today to wear a face covering. Maine CDC announces 20 new cases of COVID-19 at Tyson Foods plant in Portland, Maine. Let's take a listen to that video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
giving the class of 2020 recognition they deserve. Channel 8 Senior Shoutouts.
When an immigrant comes to Portland, usually that's their first place that you get a job.
Mufalo Chittum says a coronavirus outbreak like the one inside the Tyson meat processing facility in Portland was only a matter of time.
It's just the fact that it's a congregate setting.
Close quarters at work and oftentimes at home. Social distancing, she says, is a luxury not all can afford.
They are not risk population. They're challenged by where they live.
Chittum leads a network of 60 organizations and nonprofits mobilizing resources in recent weeks, helping to provide things like food, protective gear, and cleaning supplies.
Anything that to try to keep them safe.
20 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 at the facility announced Tuesday by Maine CDC Director Dr. Nirav Shah. He says the plant will remain closed until Thursday.
Just to make sure that each and every result is back, and that the epidemiologists at Maine CDC have had sufficient time to make contact with cases.
Chittum credits Tyson for taking precautions before and after the outbreak, but says this pandemic has amplified disparities between immigrants and longtime citizens.
There are, people of color, as you've seen the numbers across the country, they are at risk, they are vulnerable.
Chittum says that she has spoken twice already with Dr. Nirav Shah. She called his office today to try and set up another meeting to discuss ways to protect Maine's immigrant population. Reporting in Portland, Terry Stackhouse, WMTW News 8.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Money available for eligibility families to help pay for groceries. State is accepting applications for 3 Squares, Vermont. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC 5, Vermont.
Here at Bailey Ford, it's hard to think of a single profession that doesn't involve math or technology. Our
They're there for all of us when we need them.
Honor Horton with Hunger Free Vermont is talking about 3 Squares Vermont. It's the state's SNAP benefits program, which is commonly known as food stamps.
This emergency situation is the perfect time to make use of these benefits.
That's because Congress recently made changes to it, allowing eligible families to receive the maximum monthly allowance for food purchases.
That's $194 a month for a household of 1 person. It's over $600 a month in food for a household of 4.
Those dollars can be used to buy food at most large chain and locally owned grocery stores in addition to farmers markets, and can even be used to buy seeds to start a garden.
It's really a great flexible benefit.
Thousands of Vermonters are taking advantage of this benefit. The state says it's received 6 times the amount of weekly applications since the start of the pandemic.
We're still seeing an increased level of applications, but not as much as we did in the first month.
If you think you may qualify, there's help available with the application process. Anyone over the age of 60 can call the number you see on your screen. There's also a texting option, and for pregnant moms or families with children, dialing 211 will help connect you with resources.
And they're really for all of us, even those of us who've never had to think about using any of those programs before.
Helping put food on the table during a time when families need it most. Liz Streppa, NBC 5 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Connecticut National Guard to show facility used for coronavirus emergency response. The Connecticut National Guard has been at the forefront of support for hospitals and other facilities during the pandemic since it began. On Wednesday, the National Guard will give an inside look at its large-scale distribution warehouse in New Britain. We will also learn more about the work the crew are doing at the facility in that tour. Back in March, the National Guard took over what was an empty warehouse here in New Britain from their National Guardmen and women have been making sure hospitals, prisons, and municipalities all have the materials they need in this crisis. Basically, trucks come in with supplies from various vendors, and FEMA and requests come in from facilities and organizations around the state. They prioritize hospitals get first dibs, followed by state agencies like the Department of Children and Families, the Department of Corrections. Then come the cities and towns and their individual police and fire departments. Remember, this is the National Guard doing this, so it's regular folks who put on the uniform when needed. Not many have much experience running a warehouse, but they have been working the problem around the clocks for weeks now. Very cool indeed. Good work for the National Guard. Rhode Islanders adopt high school seniors to help lift spirits during graduation. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC 6 Rhode Island.
School seniors all across the country are now missing out on their graduations this year, but one woman is trying to make things a little different for graduates right here in Rhode Island. ABC 6 News anchor Brooke Taylor is live in the newsroom to explain tonight. Brooke. Yeah, Liz, it's called Adopt a Senior, a group on Facebook now with hundreds of followers, allowing people to pick a senior and send them something special. Many saying the sweet gesture, sometimes from a stranger, is exactly what they need right now. The Facebook page is called Rhode Island Adopt a 2020 Senior, filled with pictures of soon-to-be graduates all hoping to be adopted. Celissa Jones graduated in 2017, and she knows all too well what graduation is like, which is why she decided to start the page.
These seniors worked their tails off for the past 12, 13 years, and now their graduation and prom and all these big accomplishments are taken from them. So they deserved some type of recognition.
Here's how it works. Either a parent, a friend, or even the senior can post their picture in the group, and then people will volunteer in the comments to adopt that senior, giving them anything from a care basket filled with gifts to something as simple as a handwritten note. They send it to the senior via mail, doorstop drop, or any way they feel is safe. This mother and daughter from Cranston decided to get in on the fun.
Doing my classes online and then not having to be able to graduate and walk the stage, it's kind of tough.
Seeing how happy it made her daughter, Wendy Baker also decided to adopt a senior.
It still lets them know that we're all thinking of them and we're showing them that, we're so proud of what they did and we understand what they're going through.
Joan started by asking her friends to join, and now the group has more than 700 people.
For them to be able to have their own type of celebration makes them feel really special.
And so far, Joan said about 118 seniors have been adopted. If you want to join the Facebook group, it is welcome to everyone. You can find more information right on our website, abc6.com. Live in the newsroom, Brooke Taylor, ABC 6 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. What a great story there. U.S. stock futures are set to add 2 days of gains. U.S. stock futures were higher in early morning trading on Wednesday following 2 positive sessions in the equity markets. Reading the fine print on travel insurance. Let's take a listen to that video from CNBC.
Here's a lesson learned. You have to read the fine print, particularly during a global pandemic. Our Andrea Day has one man's story.
Imagine spending good money on a travel insurance policy that's supposed to give you peace of mind, only to find out it doesn't cover you during the coronavirus pandemic because you didn't actually get sick.
Jim Goodbody spent $11,000 on a trip to the all-inclusive resort Beaches Negril in Jamaica for his family of 4, and an extra $380 for travel insurance.
I just assumed if I'm buying insurance and if the trip gets canceled or I can't make it, you have to cancel, I'd be reimbursed for my travel.
The family was supposed to go in April, but then the pandemic hit.
Well, after what many are calling a catastrophic delay, testing capacity is finally ramping up for the coronavirus in the U.S.
He canceled the trip in March, and in April, Beaches completely shut down the resort, returned his airfare, and told him to contact insurance company TripMate for the rest of the refund.
I filed the claim over the phone with a travel insurance agent. The reason I was canceled, I wrote coronavirus.
But he was denied since he didn't actually catch the virus. TripMate told Goodbody, because you did not cancel due to a sickness, we are unable to consider this to be a covered claim.
I'm a victim of buyer being unaware, and it's disappointing.
In the end, the travel insurance paid out nothing, but Beaches offered a credit to rebook within the next 24 months. A Beaches spokesperson tells CNBC that Goodbody, who had a non-refundable reservation over spring break, did not qualify for a full refund. Our refund policy during this time is in line with, and in most cases, more generous than industry standards. Andrea Day, CNBC.
The U.S. Travel Insurance Association says most standard policies do not cover a pandemic, and travelers are more likely to get credits rather than full refunds. Harder, of course, on seniors who won't know for a while when it is safe to travel again.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Good information to know there. Race to find COVID-19 vaccine intensifying. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Confident to and through retirement.
Race for a vaccine, 8 human trials underway as we've been reporting here, 2 here in the U.S. And tonight, what Oxford researchers are now saying about how soon they could have an answer if their vaccine is working. This is potential good news. There's also news tonight from a vaccine trial right here in the U.S. as we hear tonight from a volunteer in that trial. Here's Kaylee Hartung.
Tonight, the race to find a vaccine intensifying. In Washington state, officials say they're going at record speed using a new process in the first of only 2 trials in the U.S. Neil Browning, a father of 3, volunteering for the experimental vaccine.
So 2 doses and relatively no side effects.
Nothing whatsoever.
In the UK, Oxford's trial is showing the most promise. Researchers say it works on monkeys, and they could get the first results in humans by mid-June.
The intention is to make enough doses so that were it approved in, say, September, we would actually have 30 million doses.
President Trump optimistic about rolling out a vaccine soon.
We are very confident that we're going to have a vaccine at the end of the year.
The former acting head of the CDC casting doubt on whether they can even have a viable vaccine.
There are a number of viral infections, HIV, dengue, where scientists have been working for decades and still haven't come up with a safe and effective vaccine.
Tonight, a potential breakthrough. The FDA fast-tracking emergency use of a Swiss antibody test made by Roche. They say it's 99.8% accurate. According to the FDA, at least 170 companies develop tests for the U.S. only 12 received emergency authorization. With demand so high, they were all temporarily allowed on the market, even though they didn't prove their reliability. Tonight, a new federal guideline tightening the rules for antibody tests. Emergency authorization requests now must be submitted to continue distribution, an attempt to weed out inaccurate tests. Dr. Rahul Sharma got the virus and then tested positive for its antibodies.
I was also very aware that that did not make me bulletproof or necessarily immune.
So let's get to Kaylee. She's with us live from Los Angeles tonight. And Kaylee, the president saying we could have a vaccine by January. Dr. Anthony Fauci weighing in on this as well, saying it is possible that once they have a likely vaccine, they've got to start manufacturing and quickly. So ready to go. So when we have approval, it will be ready to give out. But what's the timeline we're really looking at tonight?
Well, David, he has said it will take 6 to 9 months to manufacture and mass produce a vaccine, which means if we want this by January, that window is quickly closing. David?
And they'll be forced to pick which one they take a gamble on. All right, Kaylee.
Hi, everyone. Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for joining us for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.